Hello everyone, this is Eagle Owl. I'm going to do an updated review on the Taurus G2C 9mm. I did a review earlier, some months back, but it was kind of like a fly of the moment. I just turned on the camera and started talking. I would like this one to be a little bit more thorough. Basically, the Taurus G2C is, they had a model before called the PT111, and they basically started with that foundation, and they made some upgrades, some improvements, and they renamed it the G2C. So that's what it's basically based off of. The Taurus G2C is a 9mm. It comes with two magazines from the factory. They're 12 round magazines. On the side, there's a little hole in the side that lets you know when there's 6 rounds in it, and then there's another hole that indicates 12 rounds. So there's a visual cue at 6 and 12. Like I said, it comes with 2 mags. It's a double stack, so they're basically staggered. So I'm going to go over some characteristics, some details over the gun. First of all, one thing that I really like is if you go too small on a pistol, the grip becomes so small that your pinky is basically like hanging off the end. And a lot of people don't like that. It bothers them. And also, even though it's just one finger, that makes a major difference when your entire hand is grabbing the grip. This is pretty much as small and compact as you can make a gun and still have every one of your fingers on the grip. If you notice right now, they are all on it. At the bottom, it kind of rounds a little bit so that your fingers aren't tempted to slide off the bottom. On the grip itself, they have these round areas that are like extra bumpy. It's basically like if you was to take a more coarse sandpaper, kind of real bumpy and rough, and that helps secure your grip if your hand is wet or you got natural oils from your hand. It helps your hand not to have a tendency to slide. They come in different finishes. I got the one that's basically the black polymer with the stainless slide, but there's a couple different options. I like the stainless slide because it when it's a blued slide with like the black looking, like kind of like paint looking, if you holster it and unholster it a lot and everything, it eventually rubs off the finish. So I just go with this. Some of the characteristics of it, you can tell were inspired by Glock, but Glock has also inspired a lot of gun manufacturers. Another thing is there's this indentation right here, and it's on both sides, and it's designed to give a natural place for your thumb to rest when you're holding the gun. It really helps in how natural it feels when you're holding it. There's also an indentation on both sides right here, and it is designed for the tip of your index finger. Whether you're left or right-handed, you're not supposed to walk around with your finger on the trigger. So when you're carrying it in ready mode, your finger just naturally wants to dip right into that, and it just feels completely natural. So the overall feel of the gun is a very comfortable, ergonomic grip that just flows. Okay, so a couple other features is the sights are your typical 3-dot sight, like most guns come with. There's 2 white dots in the back and 1 in the front. And when you're lining up the sight picture, you do just like this, where all 3 dots are in a row with the same amount of spacing on both sides. So it would look like that. The trigger is also inspired by Glock. If you notice, there's a little bitty, kind of like a secondary trigger. It's like a lever built into the middle of the trigger. If that isn't pushed, then the gun won't fire. So if it's accidentally bumped, something hits it from the side, it's not going to fire. You have to touch the end of it. So it's just another additional form of safety. The gun comes with an external safety, which is right here. So red always means fire. If you see red on any gun that's in fire mode, when you go up, then it's blocked and it's in safety mode, it won't fire. And then down is fire. This lever here is to lock back the slide, so I'll show you that. Take the mag out. I've already checked the chamber, but anyway, that's the slide lock. So you pull the slide all the way back, and while you're holding it back, you push up on that to keep the slide locked back. Okay, so there's that. Okay, in order, the other thing I was going to mention is the magazine release button is completely reversible. I'm a lefty, and I prefer that I can do it naturally with my left hand. So I went on YouTube and I watched a video on how to swap it out. It's not super easy, but if you're somewhat of a handyman, you can do it, and I did. So I swapped it out so that I can use the thumb on my left hand. In order to break it down, you don't need any tools at all, which most guns nowadays are that way, and that's a benefit. Basically, what you do in order to break it down, double check again that there's no rounds in it. You have to pull the trigger and hold the trigger all the way forward. And then there's, on both sides, there's these little levers that slide downward. So you got to pull the trigger. You can push down on both of these levers. Bear with me. Hang on. There we go. It was that simple, like 5 seconds. Now it's ready for cleaning. Super easy. You got the coil assembly here. Just once again, take your finger, remove it. Comes out with ease. The coil rod is a polymer. Some people don't like the polymer. If you're not shooting 500 rounds a week through it for 3 or 4 years straight, I doubt that having a polymer guide rod is even going to be an issue. But if you want, you can go online and you can buy a stainless one for about like 30 bucks. Okay, so there's that. The barrel, you just grab it with your finger, comes right up. Looks like that. Okay, so that's how you take it apart with no tools necessary. I was going to show you another feature which I forgot to show you while I had it together. Give me a second. Goes together super easy. Hang on. Okay. On the top of this gun is a black flat bar. I got to put it around in the chamber to show you. Okay, now, if you will look closely, this black bar is suddenly raised. There's a dot of red paint on both sides. See if we can get it. Okay, see it's raised. You can easily feel that with your finger. You can feel it in the dark. So instead of having to pull a slide halfway back and look down to see that there's a round in the chamber, all you do is feel the top. If you feel that thing bumped up, then you know you got one in the chamber ready to roll. We'll go ahead and get that out of there. Give me a second. Okay, so anyway, that's how you do that. I can't think of much else to say about it. It does have the slide rail at the bottom to mount lights, lasers, whatever. If you order one for your gun, make sure it says subcompact. If it just says compact, a lot of the ones you order are going to be too big and they're not actually going to fit on it. So make sure it says subcompact to get one that's small enough. But once again, it's the Taurus G2C. Prices vary, obviously, depending on demand and what state you're in and everything else. But you could pretty much get them all day long easily for $250. and some places are selling them for less than $250. Well worth it. Anyway, this is Eagle Owl. Thanks for watching.